Welcome back to the Rehab Revolution, the show that's rewriting the future of recovery, one bold conversation at a time. Today's episode is personal, passionate, and powerful. We've brought together three unique voices, which I am super excited to connect with today. We have a visionary founder building something radically different, a franchise leader who sees the future of care taking shape, and a sales exec whose family's experience with burnout makes this conversation truly hit home. This isn't a business story, it's about broken systems, real hope, and a movement to rebuild care from the inside out. So let's dive right in. Thank you everyone for taking the time to connect today. I'm excited to have this conversation and learn a little bit more about everyone. And our listeners, I'm sure, are excited as well. So kick it off with Dr. Garifo. I know we've previously talked about this in past episodes, but you've said that the rehab room isn't just slightly better than other clinics, it's fundamentally different. So what exactly do you think is broken about the current system, and how did that shape your decision to build something new from the ground up?
Yeah, let's start with, been doing this for a long time, 30 years, guys, and I've lived every experience as a physical therapist in multi-clinics, in commodity-sized, in big box stores. And what's broken really, Layla, is exactly that. It's all about quantity versus quality. And the reason is they're forced to be that way because of insurance reimbursement. They're forced to have their physical therapists burn out because of the high volume. The only way to make margin in those clinics, in those setups, is by treating multiple patients an hour. Out here at the rehab room, we don't do that. We treat 2 patients an hour. And the reason we do that is because I've seen the number 1 and number 2 reason for patients self-discharging in other clinics that I work for being, number 1 is lack of time with the physical therapist, meaning brief intervals of interaction with the physical therapist. Because if I'm treating 6 patients an hour or 4 patients an hour, I maybe have 5 to 10 minutes with you every hour. So you're over there doing exercises, Tim's over here doing exercises, Chris is over here doing exercises. That's not what we do here. And the number 2 reason for self-discharge. When I say self-discharge, I mean that the patients give up on their treatment and they just go away for no reason, is because of lack of follow-through with the specific provider. Meaning they come in on Monday, they see Dr. Garifo. They come in on Tuesday, they see Dr. Chris. They come on Friday, they see Dr. Tim. And every time I see that different physical therapy provider, I have to tell them my story. Not here at the rehab room and not at any other rehab rooms in the future. It's one-on-one care with the physical therapist who will be treating you through your length of stay, which is allowing us to provide the level of care for all of our providers. All of our doctorate level physical therapists here at the rehab room are able to live that life. Personalized one-on-one care isn't rushed. It isn't dictated by the insurance restrictions. Understanding the whole person, the whole patient, physically, emotionally, and psychologically, mentally, rather than simply treating a joint or a body part or a symptom. A lot of times you'll see in other physical therapy providers, and again, I lived this for many, many years, is that you treat the symptom or you treat the body part, meaning every low back pain patient gets this specific treatment because I don't have time to adjust it or personalize it. Not here at the rehab room. And then lastly, what sets us apart culturally is that relationship first approach, not just clinically, also with our other physical therapists and our other psychologists. That it's all about the relationship. It's all about building trust and spending the time that the patients need every single day with every single interaction. Not fear of running behind schedule or high patient volume or insurance restrictions. That life allows you to treat 6 patients an hour because you have to. And that's not how it is here. It's all about that deeper level of engagement with our patients, tailored rehab plans that are not specific to the joint, that are specific to the patient, and long-term success and holistic healing.
Absolutely. I mean, I've never directly been in the physical therapy world, but I have worked in providers' offices, I've worked in healthcare, and even just being a patient, we've all experienced some level of feeling rushed and not cared for with a physician and not having that one-on-one experience. So it's definitely super important to have that one-on-one care and have that specialized care. And I think not everyone's had that. I don't even know if I have, but anyone that has probably been to the rehab room can attest to that and how different it must feel. And, you know, for both the provider to feel like they are being able to truly help someone and for the patient to get that very needed specialized care. And let's talk a little bit about growth. So the Rehab Room is now being franchised nationally. So why do you believe that this model can and should exist in every community in America?
Well, I got to tell you, I'm really excited to have the relationship with Chris and Tim and FMS around exactly that, because I truly believe that the Rehab Room fills a unique gap, critical gap in healthcare, in the healthcare landscape, not just physical therapy, not just psychology, but in healthcare in general. So this practice, this vision, this strategy is centered on personalized care and outcomes-driven treatment, period. In a world dominated by corporate healthcare and efficiency and profits and volume, this is a breath of fresh air for all of our patients. Not only here in Media, Pennsylvania, but soon to be multi-state in the next 3 to 5 years. I'm really excited about that. Just to give the patients the experience that they have here elsewhere in other physical therapy providers that are the Rehab Room franchises. What I'm used to is, and I bring this up a lot with you, Layla, is the commodity that has become physical therapy. And we know by definition a commodity is this is just like that, it's just like that, it's just like that. Like electric providers, you get electric. You go to a PT provider around the corner, it's just like the PT provider down the street, just like the PT providers you've been seeing, day in and day out, and there's no unique features to it, there's no different approaches to it. I truly believe that every community in America, not just Media, Pennsylvania, deserves access to a model that respects and nurtures that relationship with the patient. You look at it on a national scale, it's clear to me and to all my patients that healthcare shouldn't be impersonal. It shouldn't be rushed. It shouldn't be dictated by insurance-based mandates or demands. Healing, and I know you, Layla, you write stuff down like this all the time. Healing's not a process. We talked about your friend going through a lot of things with her life and her psychology and her rehab and her pain. It's a journey that we go on together. The patient and the therapist take together. And that's what I'm really, really excited about. This journey with FMS, bringing this nationally to all the other patients, all the other TP providers that can do this for the patients. And I know that this should exist in every community in America. It's transformative approach to rehab. It's adaptable, it's scalable, and it's something that we can offer. And it's really uniquely positioned to be the disruptor that we are. We are a disruptor in this field. It's not about high volume. It's about putting the patient first. And that message resonates universally, no matter where you are in the country.
Absolutely. It's definitely a universal message and experience that everyone can relate to. And it sounds like you're really building a movement. You're building
Yes.
a movement based on trust first, not transaction first care. So what does that look like in real life for both patients and providers? And why does that make your model so investable, so replicable, and so needed right now?
It defines really everything about our approach, because the focus in transaction first clinics versus trust first clinics, big difference, right? Think about those words, trust first versus transaction first. Transaction first clinics by design have to be get them in and out as quickly as you can, maximize the number of patients treated per day, and often taking that cookie cutter approach, like treating the joint specific, like low back pain patients get this treatment plan, knee pain patients get this treatment plan. And it's interesting because when I worked for the other big box commodity providers, the KPIs were geared towards exactly that. Like my KPI was not patient satisfaction. My KPI was how many patients can you treat per day? How many are you treating per week? How many are you treating per month? Not do my patients love coming to see me, or what is my discharge rate? What is my self-discharge rate? It's all numbers based, and that's not okay. It's just not okay. It doesn't sit well with me, and that's the reason why I want to do this on a national scale, and this is the reason why I want to do it with FMS specifically. It's about treating patients as partners in their own recovery, not just recipients. Like, you're my partner, you're not just recipient of what I can do for you. And I know I tend to talk a lot with my hands. I'm Italian, guys, so give me the benefit of the doubt there. And then also talking about every interaction from initial evaluation to discharge is establishing that long-term recovery journey with the patient. And I'm really proud of that fact. And for my patients, it really means every treatment I do for them is individualized, it's goal-specific, it's lifestyle-driven, it's need-driven. It's not, again, here I am talking about this, it's not a preset protocol. And the reason I keep on bringing that up is because that's exactly how every other physical therapy provider I ever worked for had to be able to deal with high volume. Is the only way to do that is to have parameters set that I can give my aide, and my aide knows Layla has knee pain, and my aide knows I always do these 6 exercises with my knee pain patients, and you go over there and you do your knee pain exercises because I'm over here with the other patient, and I'm over there with this other patient. I have no idea what's going on. Interesting, I had a testimonial a couple weeks ago from a patient, Rick, and he shot a video for me, and I think I shared that with you, Layla, where he said every other clinic he ever went to, the aide would come over and say, okay, Rick, do these exercises over in the corner, and I'll be back in 10 minutes. And I would wait 10 minutes, never do the exercises. They would come up, Rick, how'd it go? Yep, get them all, I'm good. And then 3 treatments later, I'm out of there. I'm not paying for that. I'm not paying to work with an aide. If it's $60, $80, $90 copay, sometimes that's what the patients are paying. And you know how they do that? They vote with their feet. They leave. They don't want to pay for that. I wouldn't pay for that. And we don't have to pay for that. So Rick came here and he's like, hey, this is so unique, such a differentiator. I just really love what you're doing. And to speak to your second question is, why does this make this so investable, replicable, and needed right now? Because it is investable because it's built on repeatable, high-value patient relationships that foster retention rates. And the model is easily replicable and based on clear, proven principles. Now, guys, I want to share a recent testimonials on my website. Patients are really frustrated with cookie-cutter approaches, overwhelmed by commoditization of therapy, and they're looking for something better, and we're delivering that. And so much so that I'm really proud of this testimony. I want to read it to you guys because it's a wow factor. I shortened it for the time for this discussion, but you can find the full version on my website. So here she goes. The minute I walked in, I knew I had found the right place. Dr. G and staff listened intently to my story and were extremely understanding, reassuring, and compassionate. Instantly, I felt heard and validated. Wow. Dr. G and staff were extremely attentive to me in every aspect of my care during each and every visit. They were by my side, not over in the corner, not having my aide do the physical therapy with the patient during every exercise and every movement. In a world where medical care is controlled and dictated by insurance providers and reimbursement rates, the Rehab Room is a beacon of hope. I can't make this stuff up, guys. The care is personalized for achieving maximum medical improvement. Their care is person-centric, not insurance controlled. I felt cared for every minute I was there. My problems became their problems. And together we worked intensely to transform my outcome. I truly believe finding the Rehab Room and Dr. G early on in my recovery was pivotal. And as a result, today I have full range of motion and full restoration of my leg function. 5 stars is inadequate to accurately describe my experience with the Rehab Room. Thank you, Dr. G and staff. Wow. What a way to summarize everything we're doing. That should be on a billboard, Chris and Tim, eventually. Because that patient just really spoke to everything we're trying to do. I couldn't have paid for a better ad from this patient. And she did that from her heart. She wrote a paragraph like this. This is just a shortened version of it. But This patient came into me and she was crying first day. She was smiling 2 weeks later when I discharged.
Yeah, that's amazing. I think that you're obviously doing more than just, treating patients like they're a name and not a number, but you're also giving patients back their life. You're giving them a whole new lease on life, which is priceless and incredible, of how such a change can really have such a giant impact on their everyday life and the future of their lives. And also, it's not only probably affecting them, it's affecting the people around them in a positive way. They're able to feel better and do more things and spend time with their family and their friends and really just have an overall better quality of life. So it's amazing that you have figured out a way to create this area and this practice that is not only helping people in your area, but is going to be nationwide to reach and touch more people across the country.
Yeah, and touching on that, Layla, with regards to other people, so her sister drove her to her 3rd visit, and she stopped in and she said, I had to come see this place because what are you feeding my sister? Because she is your biggest cheerleader, and she doesn't ever act like that. So what are you guys doing? I said, we're just giving good care, and we're listening to our patients. That's pretty much all we're doing.
Absolutely. When you feel better, and you're not in pain, you're probably a lot nicer and more pleasurable to be around too. So I'm sure her sister's just as happy as she is in a way.
Yeah.
But Chris, let's shift over to you for a second. So now you're a CEO and you evaluate hundreds of concepts every year. So what made the Rehab Room really stand out to you, and it being more than just a clinic, but as a franchise-ready brand with long-term viability and purpose?
Well, I think the big picture is at the heart of it, and Dr. Garifo definitely went through a lot of what's happening in the healthcare industry, and specifically in the physical therapy space. But this is not something that is unique, unfortunately. It's global. When you look at all of healthcare, you talk to a physician, they're seeing 75, 100 patients, giving people 5-10 minutes because they have to continue to drive people through the place as fast as they can. And you get exactly what Dr. Garifo was explaining. You get a cookie cutter, customized, unpersonalized approach because they have to make everyone fit into the exact same box. When they're seeing patients and working with them, and then you have things like undiagnosed or misdiagnosed. You have overall just very poor patient care, and you have people who aren't getting the help they need or want. So this has been happening for a while, and what kind of hit me one time was when I was working with a healthcare company that we were helping franchise, and one of the consultants of the company said, "Who do you think the client is here? Who is the client of this hospital?" And he said, "A patient, this, that." And he goes, "No, it's the insurance company. They're the customer. So that's who they're trying to satisfy. That's who they're trying to focus on. That's who they're trying to make happy." And this, when you start to get to that situation, it obviously takes the whole business and the whole industry away from where it should be. And I think what Dr. Garifo has been doing and what he has done here is, for one, it takes courage and someone with vision, and really just a whole lot of guts to step out of the lane that everyone has been in. And I know Dr. Garifo had a cushy, great job. He worked for big companies and absolutely could have continued down that path. He is one of the very few people that saw not only an opportunity, but a chance to fix and help and change things for people. And he took the risk, a huge risk, not only financially, but reputation wise, everything else, because particularly in the healthcare space, when you step out of the lane, I think you maybe have a higher degree of people that are less willing to do that. And as a result, you get more, negativity around it. But this is absolutely where it's headed. And I think since COVID in particular, you've seen a bigger trend and a bigger push towards people actually paying attention to their body, their health, their wellness, being willing to invest in it, and going to the resources that they actually see results and they get the care they're looking for. This hasn't happened in the physical therapy space. What I saw and what I heard when we first started talking, we first had the conversations about the Rehab Room, was this is that vehicle. It's a simple model. It doesn't require a ton of staff. It doesn't have a ton of moving parts. It's a business that someone can get into for less than $200,000. There's a return on investment in this. You have to work the business like Dr. Garifo does, less than 3 years. These are all metrics that if we look at the overall franchise industry, they're 2, 3, 4, 5 times better than most businesses are. So not only do we have the chance to revolutionize the whole industry segment and do what's right, but also to offer people that are on the provider side of this the opportunity to become an entrepreneur, become a business owner, get into to actually feeling good about what you do every day and helping people and changing your financial future. It's like every single box is checked. And I really believe Dr. Garifo is the right person to do it. It does take someone who has a unique combination of entrepreneurship, that courage, that vision, and the background in the physical therapy space, in the healthcare space. And you don't find a whole lot of people that have that. What I think will happen here, what I see happening, is there are a lot of people that would love to do what the Rehab Room is doing. They're not comfortable stepping out of their lane and doing it without a blueprint and a roadmap. They will be more comfortable doing it when we have this entire game plan and this whole, here's your path. Do this, don't do this. Here's how you manage. Here's how you advertise. Here's how you schedule. Here's the technology you use. It's the whole blueprint of everything that you need so that you can go into business with confidence. And unlike Dr. Garifo had to do, where he was figuring it out as he went into it, these people have the benefit of having an expert, a proven business model, and someone behind them coaching them. Not only will it help them be successful once they're in, but I see more people getting into business for themselves because of the path that he's paved and the risks that he's taken and all the legwork that he's put into it.
Absolutely. I'm sure there are so many people who may have had a similar thought or wanted to do something like this, but like you said, didn't have maybe the courage, the guts, the know-how. But I agree, he's definitely paved the way, has been the trailblazer for this. So I'm sure that there will be people who are going to, want to do this now that, like you said, there's a blueprint. So I think it's super important for that to exist, and for now more and more people to be able to help others and be entrepreneurs for themselves, but really have that blueprint laid out, which will allow them to do so. And
Yes.
in your experience, Chris, I mean, you can say a little bit more about this, but most franchise brands sell a product. So the Rehab Room is selling a philosophy, a human first, trust-based model of care. So in your opinion or experience, how rare is that in the franchising world? And what does that signal to you about its long-term impact?
Well, and I love that, human first. It wasn't that, I've been doing this for 25 years, and it wasn't that long ago that there were really no franchises in the healthcare space. I mean, it was cheeseburgers, hot dogs, chicken sandwiches, the stuff that you think of when you think of franchises. But that has definitely changed over the last 10, 15 years. We've seen more different industry segments come into the franchise space. We've seen more service models come in. Brands like Massage Envy, paved the way for an industry segment that not very long ago, it was that kind of seedy, strip center sort of business, and no brands. There was no consistency. They proved you could take that industry segment, brand it, package it, duplicate it, and scale it. And brands like that, European Wax Center was one that I worked with from the starting point, have helped show other industries that this can be done. The same benefits that you can get from selling a cheeseburger through a franchise system, you can also get from replicating a physical therapy clinic model as well. And it comes down to the basics. Every business, I don't care what you're doing, you need to know how to get clients. You need to know how to market to them, how to drive consistent patient and client traffic into the clinic. And then we need to have a process to convert that traffic into paying patients, paying customers. That's one of the things that the Rehab Room offers. Once that patient has become a customer, now we need to have a process for how to deliver services to them consistently and with the same level of high quality, the same level of customer experience. That's obviously a big part of what the Rehab Room offers. Part of that is the technology. Part of it's the scheduling. Part of it's knowing how and who to hire, how to bring in the right people that embody the culture, get the human first, and are willing to live it. All of these pieces, it doesn't really matter if we're talking about a service or a product. The reason that I, in particular, really am drawn to services, I mentioned it earlier, but this is a business that after franchise fees, there is a legitimate opportunity to see a 100% return on your investment in less than 3 years. In a restaurant model, the typical time frame is 7 up to 10 years. We're less than half. We're less than a third on the high end of that range. A big part of that is that in this industry segment, in this business model, you don't have a cost of goods. We don't have cheeseburgers that we're selling. It's just the labor component. Now, to get good labor, you have to pay them. It's not like that's a nothing expense, but typically we can see much higher margins, if not twice, even higher than you would see in a traditional retail or food service model. So if we remove all of the elements here of the fact that we're in healthcare, we're in physical therapy, we're doing something that's game changing, and you look at this just from a numbers standpoint, it's a great business model. And then you throw that other stuff on top of it. You have a chance to really revolutionize a whole market segment. It just makes it even better and gives it even more opportunity. But I do think other brands in industry segments like massage, there was a franchise in the acupuncture space. I mentioned waxing. These are other models that you could say they're not direct comparisons, but they do have some relative comps to what we're doing. Some of those have done exceedingly well. European Wax Center is 1,600 locations in a public company. So no reason why we can't have similar results, similar opportunity. And I think the beauty, one of the really great things about what we're doing here, people get waxed because they want to look good. They want to feel better, look better, all that kind of stuff. We are talking about legitimately changing people's lives here. That this isn't something that people are doing because it's fun or makes them look a little better or it's something they'd like to wear on the weekends. They have to do this. They're in pain, they're suffering, and we have the opportunity to literally fix their life. So you look at the ripple effect that comes from this. The business owner can win, the brand grows, the patients experience better lifestyles, we heal people. There's so many elements and so many levels of how this becomes a win that again, going back to like why you asked why we thought this is a big opportunity, those all fed into it. And then you throw in a personality, you throw in someone who is selfless and has the communication skills that Garifo has. It's like we want to tie our horse up to this guy and run with him too.
Absolutely. And talking about the hire and things that you just touched on, who do you think is the ideal, the Rehab Room franchisee? Is this just for healthcare investors, or do you see a major opportunity for clinicians who have maybe felt powerless inside the system and now really want to lead something better?
I definitely think it's both. And it does depend on the market. There are some compliance and healthcare regulations that vary by state and will impact who we can sell to in certain states. Some states require that the owners have the right licensing to be able to do it. But I think we absolutely can sell to both. Some of the most successful franchises that we've sold to did not come from the industry that they bought into. They just believed in it. They were willing to follow the model. They wholeheartedly jumped into the franchisor system and followed it to a T. I think regardless of whether someone comes from the physical therapy space, which, as Tim will mention here, his wife is a perfect example of this. There's a lot of people in this industry, like Dr. Garifo, who are burned out. They're looking for change. They're in a meat grinder. They're being forced to see so many people every day, every week, every month, and there's zero of what most of them push them to get into the healthcare space. The reason why they did, they wanted to help people, they wanted to heal people, and they're not able to do that. So I think there's a great opportunity there. I also think entrepreneurs, I think the one thing that we absolutely have to be diligent with is people have to buy into the culture. They have to believe in the culture. They can't just say that they're willing to do this and then fall into the same routine they've been doing. I also think they need to have communication skills. They need to be able to talk, engage, develop relationships, and in effect sell. One of the reasons that I know Dr. Garifo has been so successful is because he communicates so well. He's very comfortable speaking. He's excited. He's engaged. He understands how to speak in tones to keep people listening. I think that will be critical, particularly in our early stages here, because a lot of what the franchisee has to do in a new market is go out and educate. They have to talk to the community. They have to go out and talk to healthcare clinics and hospitals and providers and people in their market. And if they're not willing to do that, they're not excited about it, they'd rather stay sitting behind their computer and try to post things on Facebook or something. I don't see that person thriving with us. As the system grows and we get more and more traction and more awareness around the rehab room, we can probably get more into that. But these early adopters, I want them to be out there making a difference, speaking loudly, and being a part of their community, because I think that's critical for their business to get going and for the brand to get moving.
Absolutely. I think being a part of the community and having that one-on-one communication, and also having, like you said, the communication strengths to really get out there and educate would be so important. I know I've learned so much just from having these few episodes that I've had with Dr. Garifo. So he definitely is a good communicator. I learned about all these therapies and machines and all this stuff that I didn't even know existed. So I do think he's definitely a good communicator and educator as well, to kind of continue to lead the way for others to kind of follow in the footsteps of getting their own, franchise, or joining the franchise rather. So I think that when you said that, I was like, yes, that's accurate. Like, I know I've learned so much, and you could also tell like he's so excited when he talks about these things. He like lights up. So having that and being able to bring that to someone else to take on those steps elsewhere, I think is super important as well. So Tim, let's jump over to you. I'm interested to hear a little bit about your side of things now. So you've toured dozens of clinics. So when you visited the rehab room, something clicked, something was different. So what stood out to you immediately, both as a healthcare exec and as someone with a front row seat to your own experience with your wife and your wife's experience?
Yeah, yeah, and that I think is a bit of an interesting perspective that I maybe bring. Chris, obviously, given his background in franchising, he saw what was special here from the get-go. Just philosophically speaking, speaking with Dr. Garifo and hearing his mission and objective and what we're seeking to do here, Chris knew that we were onto something. But it was of a particularly interesting point for me because my wife is a physical therapist as well. And so obviously the parallel there, I can maybe relate just having a partner in the industry. And we've been together now pretty much the entirety of her practicing career. So it's about 10 years. And basically her trajectory was she started a job at a big hospital right out of school, and quickly got thrown into that meat grinder that we were describing. And it took a toll quickly. Now, I do think the type of individual that gets into physical therapy as a career has a deep desire to want to help people. I think that's really what drove them to get into that career in the first place. And so conflicting with that, you have this machine that is big healthcare that has turned physical therapy really into a series of numbers. And unfortunately, I think it might be somewhat prohibitive for it to even work, just given the fact that PTs are expected to treat multiple patients at once and in a very short amount of time. And a lot of the patients are left to their own devices, hoping that they do exercises at home with really no oversight. And so the effectiveness of these programs is reduced substantially. And on top of that, the physical therapists themselves are run ragged. I mean, they're literally having to command crowds of people in these rooms and have to jump around, make sure they're in line with the progress of each, and also maintain some sense of progress report on what's next, what they should do the next time they come to the facility, and how are they going to keep track of this? And my thinking is eventually things start to deteriorate in terms of a typical patient's road to recovery. And so my wife got burned out. And so she transitioned to education, still in physical therapy, but a big part of her desire to change the angle of career, I guess you could call it, was because she just did not like how her skills were being used. And fast forward, getting to meet Dr. G and getting to walk into the rehab room, it was so cool to see this like paradise-like example of what it should be. Because Nicole, my wife, has very much explained what she would do if she had control of things and could mastermind the system. And crazily enough, it pretty much paired exactly with the rehab room in terms of look, feel, execution, the overall patient experience, right down to having a coffee station right when you walk in. And so for me personally, it was so cool to see this reality come to play, that here is an awesome gentleman who is doing something about this issue. This issue being that physical therapy is broken as an industry. I mean, I think it is. And again, this comes from someone who's never practiced, but being married to someone who has, and for several years, and has now gone through the transition into education and has gained hindsight perspective, realized that this is a real issue, not just for the patient, but for the practitioners too, because there is too much expected of them, and the results that they're expected to achieve for their patients are really unrealistic and in some cases unachievable. So I was excited to see that here is someone that's looking to change that. And now with franchising, share it with the country in hopes that this becomes a disruption across the entire nation and across the entire industry, and one that I think will benefit all sides, not just those that get the service, but to those that practice it too. And they need help. They absolutely do.
Absolutely. It definitely will help across the board of both physicians experiencing that burnout and being able to have that sense of rewarded. And like you said, your wife's skills weren't being put to use in the way she had hoped and went to school for so long and worked so hard to obtain. So hopefully this will cause that disruption where providers can feel their skills are being utilized in the way that they want, and patients can also get the care that they need. And I know your wife left this world of physical therapy due to burnout. So even though she loved her work, but when you saw the rehab room and you saw the model of the one-on-one care, no insurance dictation, clinical freedom, what emotions came up in that? And did you feel like this might have been the kind of place that could have kept her in the field and not have transitioned into more of an educational role?
Absolutely, Layla. I 100% believe that if the timelines and universes were more aligned, Dr. Garifo would have offered respite for Nicole and provided a place for her skills to flourish and be used to their fullest, and provide her with a workplace that is not only giving the tools needed to provide for good treatment, but is sustainable, and that PTs can work there for years to come and love their work, love coming to work. And I think the patients see that too. A happy PT is going to make a happier patient, and certainly is going to make for more effective treatment. So for me, it was really awesome to see that the direction that Dr. G wants to take this is going to benefit those. Eventually, I know I'm going to need services similar to these two myself, and a super volume heavy business model doesn't seem to equate in my head to quality care. That might look good on the spreadsheet, but I don't think that looks good to the patient. Certainly to their road to recovery, at least. And so I think that this is going to be an evolution that the business needs, that the industry needs, that the practice needs. And I think with the personality that's driving this, it's going to get there.
Absolutely. And like you said, even you may need these services and help one day. It's almost like, and I liked what you said about it might look good on a spreadsheet, but not particularly translating into real life, even though these standard practices, unlike the rehab room, help all these people. It's not helping them, because I know me personally, if I get overwhelmed and I'm in a waiting room and I'm not getting the help, I'm probably not even going to go back. I might just suffer in silence because I don't want to deal with it.
Yeah.
So now even...
I'm sure you're not alone, Layla. I'm sure you're not alone. I'm sure there's many others.
I would assume I'm the majority in that thought process and decision making. So even if the scale of people being helped is smaller, it's probably drastically changing so many more lives, because those people are going to get that care and they are going to come back. And even word of mouth will be huge in this field. Like, I went to the rehab room and I feel so much better and I got this one-on-one care. And I think that will also play a big role in people helping other people as well. And I know, Tim, so you have a
totally
unique experience in this. So looking through both the clinical and business lens here, what excites you the most about bringing this model to market? And do you believe it has the power to reignite purpose for providers and investors alike?
Yes. Excitedly, yes. I think what Dr. Garifo has discovered is that people will pay for good service. And I think that's ultimately what we're going to discover here, is that there is a whole market of people out there that if there was a place that offered better physical therapy, they would go. And I understand that we are, given the landscape that we live in, this technically is a more premium option. Hopefully someday it becomes the norm. Mm-hmm. But fact is, I think the customer has spoken. This is the reason why the Rehab Room has been so successful up to this point, is because patients now seek him out. They not only see the results, but they enjoy the experience of working with him, getting that love and tender care that you're really supposed to from a genuine physical therapy experience. And I think every franchisee that becomes a part of the Rehab Room franchise network is going to see that in their respective communities, there are many people that not only need the care, but are more than willing to come find it if the option was there. And I think with the Rehab Room, we're finally providing one.
Absolutely. I know I'm so excited to see where this goes in the next few years. I know I'm very invested in the success of this, and I can't wait to hear and see rehab rooms all over. And I guess, Dr. Garifo, on a scale of 1 to 10, how
Just 10, huh?
fired up are you about this partnership with FMX?
Count me a 10, Layla? That's not fair.
All right.
Yeah, I'm a solid 10. And let's be real, you know, this relationship, it's really hard to put into words, having done this for so long. But I want to expand on one of Tim's points before I get into the question. My vision is that when we have 20 of these open, Tim, and one's open up in your area, that our recruitment process will be so simple because the physical therapist that's across the street treating 4 an hour knows that the physical therapist in the rehab room is treating 2 an hour, and they're going to want to be there. And that's going to be so easy to recruit physical therapists where it's not so easy right now because 10% of our profession drops out of it every year, 10% retires. So we're losing anywhere from 25 to 30% of PTs every single year. The supply really can't keep up with the graduation rate. So our recruitment process is going to be word of mouth, and it's going to be the experience of the physical therapist in the rehab room saying, hey, my other physical therapist friend wants to be here. How do we make that happen? And then if it's not opening up your own franchise, it's going to be joining that team. So the partnership with FMS isn't just an opportunity, it's truly a game changer for me. The model is designed to deliver what patients and providers, physical therapists, are craving. A true partnership, Leda, in healthcare, not a transaction. We talked about trust first, not transaction first. With FMS's expertise in franchising, our proven track record, exceptional patient outcomes, I'm so excited, and I know this will be successful. We're poised to bring this movement, to your word, Layla, to communities everywhere nationwide. It's not about scaling a business, Tim. You know that. It's about changing the entire healthcare landscape. And I'm so excited to do that with you guys hand in hand. Together, FMS and the Rehab Room is empowering patients to take control of their healing, enabling providers like his wife to practice with passion and with what they were trained to practice as. You know, we don't want to burn them out, and purpose, creating a culture of care that's leaving a lasting impact across the country. That's my goal. And here's what I want to leave to you, Layla. I always have my deliverable at the end of our podcast. It's not just about physical therapy. It really isn't about physical therapy. It's about healing the patient from the inside out. It's about making sure that every patient feels heard, valued, and taken care of. Just like my patient said, you know, what really struck out with me with her is that they were by my side during every exercise and every movement, sitting with her, going through every exercise. And that's just beautiful to hear that from my patients. We're building something bigger than just a clinic. We're building a movement that's going to change the future of healthcare, and we're just getting started, Leda. The Rehab Room is all about where trust meets transformation and where every patient is treated like family, period. That's exactly what we're offering, and I know in my heart of hearts this will be successful, and be especially successful having FMS lead this with me hand in hand.
Absolutely. Thank you so much. I cannot wait to see where this goes. Like I said, I am invested in the trajectory here in the next few years and for everything amazing that is to come. And that's a wrap on one of the most powerful conversations we've ever had on the Rehab Revolution. To our listeners, whether you're a clinician searching for a purpose, a burned out provider, ready for a new model, or an investor looking to build on something with heart, this one was for you. Big thanks to Dr. Garifo, as always, Tim and Chris, for reminding us when you lead with trust, care becomes something more than a service. It becomes a movement. And if this resonated with any of you, share it, forward, share it, send it. The revolution is real and it's only just getting started. So until next time, keep moving and keep healing. And thank you so much, Dr. G and Tim and Chris.
Thank you all.
Thanks, Leila.